Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from the classic Dokken song, It's Not Love. Now this one comes off of what I consider to be the quintessential Dokken album, Under Lock and Key, released way back in 1985. Now I had a lot of fun putting together that performance that you just watched. All the layers of guitars, that was so much fun for me to do. In fact, I've never seen anyone here on YouTube either teach or perform all of the parts that I'm about to show you, so that makes this even more fun for me. Now if you're a fan of the band, I also have lessons here on my channel on how to play the solos from Alone Again, Breaking the Chains, In My Dreams, Unchain the Night, and there will certainly be more to come, so make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to catch all my videos as soon as they're available. Hitting that thumbs up does help my channel get a little bit more exposure, and then if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below and I'll attempt to answer the questions as time allows. Now if you're interested in getting a copy of the custom tabs that I'm using here or the awesome backing track from Jam Kazam, I'll put more information down in the video description for that too. Alright, now the last thing I want to mention is that if you try to play this along with the original recording, your guitar's probably going to sound a little bit out of tune. That's because George Lynch had his guitars tuned down 1/4 of a step, so it's just slightly flat. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to keep my guitar in standard tuning for this lesson. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into it. All right, here's the rhythm part for section 1. So we start by playing the 17th fret of the low E string, sliding down. And then we'll do an A power chord in the open position, followed by open A 3 times palm muted. Then 3 of D, 5 of G, followed by open A palm muted twice. And then 4 D, 7 G, followed by open A palm muted 6 times. And then 17 of low E, slide down again. Let's play that a few times. Now here's the first of 3 harmony parts that go on top of that rhythm. So we start with natural harmonics at the 24th fret of the D and G strings. Now for some of you, if you don't have 24 frets, you're just going to have to find it over your neck pickup region. It's not that hard to find. Just imagine where the 24th fret would be. Put your fingers there. That's normally what George Lynch does, because a lot of times I watch him live, he's playing like a 22 fret guitar, so he doesn't have the 24th fret, he's got to find it over that pickup area. All right, then after that, you've got 5 of G, and then 7 of D add vibrato, 7 of D pinch harmonic, wide vibrato. Okay. Then staying on the D string, we're going to go 7, 5, 7 palm muted. And then 7 quickly slide to 9. And then 7 with a pinch harmonic wide vibrato slide down. Let's play this harmony part a few times. Now here's the second harmony for section 1. Now you may have noticed that the notes here are almost identical to what we did with harmony 1, but we move everything up 1 string higher. Okay, so instead of starting at the 5th fret of G, we start with the 5th fret of B. Then we move to the G string and do the rest. It's the same notes, you're just moving everything up 1 string higher. But I'll go through it. 5 of B, and then 7 of G add vibrato, 7 of G add vibrato wide with a pinch harmonic. So far. And then staying on the G string, 7, 5, 7 palm muted. And then 7 quickly to 9. And then 7 with a pinch harmonic wide vibrato slide down. Let's play this harmony a few times. Here's the third harmony part for section 1. Now you notice this harmony section's a little bit shorter than the others. It comes in a little bit later. You're basically taking like half of the second harmony and doing it an octave lower. Anyway, on the A string, it's 5-3-5 palm muted, and then 5 quickly slide to 7. And then 5 with a pinch harmonic wide vibrato slide down. Let's play it a few times. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I'm only one guitar player in my band. How am I going to recreate this live? And I'll show you what George does here in a minute. But you might be tempted to try and take all the little harmony parts and add them into the rhythm part to create bigger chords. That's going to be challenging because there's at least one chord in there where you're not going to be able to reasonably make a chord out of it. It'll be a big stretch. But also, when you try to add all those notes together and play them all at once on one guitar, it sounds a little bit more dissonant, right, than as if you try and layer them, play them one on top of each other like I did at the beginning. So I don't recommend trying to do that. Instead, you just want to experiment by adding some of the harmony notes into the rhythm part. Okay, so for example, here's an approximation of what George does live. I say it's an approximation because George is a highly, improvisational player, and so when you watch him live, he's always going to be playing things a little bit different, but this is generally what he does. So what we're doing here is we're starting off with 10 of D and 9 of G, and then sliding down. And those two notes are also the same two notes you'll find in the harmony, right? 5 of G and 5 of B. It's just played at a different spot, okay? Then after that, you're going to play open A 3 times, and then 5 of D and 7 of G, open A twice, 7 of D and G vibrato. Okay, so far. Now, all of the notes so far, except for the 5th fret of D, that's the anomaly here, the kind of standout. All the other notes you can find within the harmony parts, right? But once you get to that 5D, 7G, the 5 on D, which is a G note, that's nowhere to be found on the chords underneath it, right? Which would be and. There's no G note in there. So George kind of deviates from it a little bit, but it works. It sounds fine when you're playing it live. All right, then after that, the second half of this goes. So it's all on the D and G strings. So it's 7, D, G, and then 5, and then 7. And then 7, D, G, quickly slide to 9. And then 7, D, G, pinch harmonic wide vibrato slide down. So again, tie all that together and it sounds like this. So again, I think the way George does it live works great. But you can always experiment around with combining the main chords and some of the harmony notes and come up with something else. It's completely up to you. All right, let's move on to section 2. Okay, here's the rhythm part for section 2. So it starts very similarly to the rhythm part from section 1. You've got the open A power chord, followed by open A 3 times, palm muted. Then you've got 3D, 5G, followed by open A twice. And then 4D, 7G. Let's play what we have so far. And then from here, we're going to create this little chord here. It kind of reminds me of the song All Right Now, where you go. Something like that. So what you're going to do is put your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the B string and your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D string. Then you play, you're going to let these ring together. Open G, and then 3 of B, and then 4 of D, 3 of G, open G, 3 of D, open G. All right, let's tie all that together and play the rhythm part for section 2 a few times. Now here's the lead part for section 2. So we're going to play the 20th fret of the B string with a pinch harmonic, bend it up about 1 3/4, so almost 2 full steps. Hold it for a little bit, bring it down, and then you're going to play 20th of B again. Kind of hold it for a tiny bit, slowly bring it up a full step, and then at the top hit it again, wide vibrato. Then you're going to play 17 on B, hammer to 20, pull off to 17, and then 20 on G. 17, 20, 17, 20. And then on the G string, 19 pull off to 17, 19 twice. Then you're going to play 17 of G, and you're going to do that sideways slidey vibrato thing that George likes to do. And then slide down. Now, don't get too hung up on doing that perfectly. I tend to try to go down to about the 12th fret, something like that. That sounds like the right width to me, but again, it's going to go by so quick, most people won't know the difference if you go down, a little bit less or a little bit more. Alternatively, you can take your whammy bar and go something like that if you prefer and don't want to do the sideways sliding vibrato. All right, let's play the entire lead part for section 2 a few times. All right, let's move on to the next section. Okay, here's the rhythm part for section 3. Now, I won't go through this note by note since you already learned it during the rhythm part of section 1, but I will call out that you play the open string 7 times at the end as opposed to 6 times like you did back in section 1. Okay, now here's the first of 3 harmony parts for section 3. Now this is very similar to what we've done previously. You're going to do 5 of G, and then 7 of D, and then 7 of D pinch harmonic wide vibrato. And then palm muted on D, 7, 5, 7. And then 7 quickly slide to 10. And then 7 on the D string, pinch harmonic, wide vibrato, slide down. Let's tie all that together and play this harmony part a few times. Now here's the second harmony for section 3. So it's 5 on B, and then 7 on G, then 7 on G, pinch harmonic, wide vibrato. And then palm muted, staying on the G string, 5, 4, 5. 7 quickly slide to 9. And then 7 on D with a wide vibrato, and then slide down. Let's play this harmony a few times. Now the third harmony for this section is a little bit shorter, it comes in later. Just like that third harmony from section 1, it comes in later. So it's all on the G string, 9, 7, 9 palm muted. Then 9 quickly to 12. And then 11 with a pinch harmonic wide vibrato. Let's play it a few times. I don't slide down on this one because when I listen to the recording, unlike the other notes within the harmony, this one doesn't sound like it slides down, but you want to slide down, you certainly can. Now when it comes to playing section 3 live, again, if you just have one guitar, this is what George typically does. So it starts off just like the live part for section 1. Now the second half of this is going to be different from what you learned earlier for the live version of section 1. So it's going to go like this. So on the D and G strings, it's 7, and then 7D, 5G, and then 7, again, DG. And then we're going to play 7 of G, 8 of B, and then 7 of G, 7 of B, and the 7 of D kind of sounds in there because your finger was on there previously. All right, let's play that one more time. All right, let's move on to section 4. All right, now for the final section, section 4, the rhythm behind it's pretty simple. You've got a G chord, F, and an A. Pretty simple. All right, now for the lead part of section 4, let's break it in half. And the first part's going to go slowly. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because you've probably seen other people try to finger tap this part. There's finger tapping coming up in a second, but I've seen a lot of people try to finger tap this part. That's because live, George Lynch will finger tap it. Again, George Lynch is highly improvisational. He's always doing things different live. So you'll see him do a lot of different things. Like he'll just be all sorts of crazy little things. But when I listen to the record, I don't hear the finger tapping. I hear the picking of notes in there, okay? But I'm going to show you an alternate way to play this with finger tapping if you want to try that, okay? So we're going to start on the high E string, 15 hammer to 17, and then 13 hammer to 17. And then 12 hammer to 15, quickly slide to 17. Again, when I slow it down, I hear the slide in there. Okay, you don't have to slide. You could always just hammer it if you want. And then 15 of B, 17 of high E. Let's play what we have so far slowly. And then 13 of B, hold it for a tiny bit, slide down to 12, and then hammer to 13, pull off to 12, hammer to 13. It's actually there's a little slide up there. It's really hard to hear in there, in the mix, unless you slow it down, then you'll hear that little slide in there. And then we'll play 14 of G with a pinch harmonic. Let's tie all that together and play it slowly a few times, and then I'll show you the way you can finger tap it if you want. Now, if you want to try and finger tap the notes instead, you could do this. You can see that I tried to incorporate slides where there were slides in the non-tapped version. That's what I came up with if you want to try and tap it. Again, have fun with it. Like I said, George is always improvising live. He likes to tap that part live, although again, I don't hear the tapping on the record, but either way you should be fine. Now here's the rest of section 4. Slowly. Now, I've seen this part tabbed a lot of different ways. And when you watch George live, he's always finger tapping it different. Sometimes he'll do like little slidey kind of things. So a lot of different ways that you see George Lynch play this part live. So we're going to start on the G string, 10 hammer to 14. And then finger tap onto 17, pull off to 14, pull off to 10, slide to 9. And then hammer to 10, 12. Let's play what we have so far. And then we'll finger tap onto 16, pull off to 12, pull off to 10, pull off to 9. Let's play what we have so far, all on the G string. All right, now this next part, the first couple notes are really buried in the mix. They're really hard to hear unless you slow it down really slow. You're going to finger tap on 14 to D, pull off to 13, pull off to 9. And then slide to 10, hammer to 14. Right, again, those notes, the 14, 13, 9, are really buried in the mix. You can only hear it when you slow the solo down, but they're there. And the inclusion of the 13th fret, it's a flatted fifth. It sounds a little dissonant with all the other notes, but it goes by so quickly. You can find different ways. If it sounds too dissonant, try tapping on to 14 and pulling off to 12 and then 9. It's going to sound a little less dissonant if you do it that way. Okay, let me play what we have so far slowly. Notice that the 14, 13, 9 on the D string, I go through that pretty quickly. It's really buried in the mix. All right, and then after that, you're going to finger tap on 17 of D, pull off to 14, pull off to 10, slide to 9. And then hammer to 10, 12. And then you're going to finger tap onto 16, still on the D string, pull off to 12, pull off to 10, pull off to 9. And then slide to 10, hammer to 14, and then 12 of A vibrato. I didn't notate on the tabs you see on the screen here that you slide down because it was getting a little too crowded already. But don't worry, if you end up buying the tabs from me, the slide will be in there. You got to pay for the slide. All right, let's tie all these notes together here and play this lead part a few times slowly. All right, let's wrap it up. That was my lesson on how to play the guitar solo from Dokken's It's Not Love. If you found it helpful or informative, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And please hit that subscribe button to catch all my content as soon as it's available. And again, if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below and I'll attempt to answer the questions as time allows. Until next time, rock on.